Good evening, Facebook. I know it's been like 2 weeks since I've done this Monday market update, but I'm back. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving holiday with family and friends, and I know we had a great time. I had my sister in town, so it was good. So anyway, let's get into it. This week we're going to talk about interest rates. One of the reasons I'm talking about it today is because I've had a lot of questions about it. Questions about the market's kind of condition. People see that house prices are as high as they were before the big old crash of 2008, but there are a lot of other factors which I'm considering putting together a video about. It was kind of a 3 or 4 different things all combining together to create what happened in 2008. But interest rates, a lot of people think are really high. So I have a question for you. Are mortgage rates above or below the 30-year average? Now, if you're watching this live, you can play along. But if you're watching it later, answer before you look at any of the comments. So, last 30 years, which puts us back at, let's see, it's 2018, so what, 1988? Oh, Lord. That wasn't that long ago, was it? Maybe. I'm just getting old. It's all good. Anyway, here is a little graph showing you what the interest rates were. So, they definitely peaked out in the early 80s. Let's see. 82, I think the graph says there. It's a little small on my screen. But, yeah, so peaked out in like the 17s. 17% interest to buy a house. That just seems crazy. But to answer the question of are our rates above or below the average right now, they are quite a bit below. The average for the last 30 years is around 8%, and we're right around 5.25 or something, somewhere in that ballpark right now. But kind of to explain what interest rates do and how really the biggest effect on that is the Fed, is the government, and they have the ability to adjust their little control they have on the economy is the ability to adjust the rates that banks trade in off hours. And that's what affects eventually our auto loans, our home loans, things like that, more long-term loans. So, and one of the things that they do with that is when the economy is doing well, but they want to protect the economy from having crazy inflation. I know that happened a lot back in the 70s. They'll raise the interest rate, which makes it a little more difficult for people to borrow money. And so that's kind of how they control or temper the market a little bit. There's discussion about increasing the rate right now, and there are some that talk about not wanting to do that because they're afraid it's going to cool off the market. The reason for increasing it would be if the market's beginning to overheat a little bit. There's differing ideas about that, but that's kind of when people talk about the interest rate, especially the one that the Fed controls. That has to do with how banks trade and borrow off hours, but it does trickle down and affect the long-term rates with like home mortgages and stuff like that. So that's kind of interest rates in kind of a nutshell. Right now, like I said, when they say what the rate is, about 5.25, not everyone's going to get that rate. I know if you go online and you look at some of the internet companies like Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, stuff like that, they're going to show you that kind of an interest rate, like 5.25. But what they don't tell you right off the bat is that's for someone that has 30% down and a 800 plus credit score, which is not a lot of folks. So it's definitely good to talk to a lender, talk to a mortgage person. We've got, we work with VIP Mortgage, we work with Fairway Mortgage, and both those companies will always be up front with you on what your rates are, what you can get. But just know that kind of baseline rate is considering a really high credit score and a really, really high down payment. So I hope this helps a little bit, helps you guys understand the interest rate side of the market. We're still, like I said, we're still well below the 30-year average. If you did get a mortgage a few years ago towards the bottom of the crash when the Fed's rate was 0, we were doing like 3.25, 3.5, something like that. We're not going to see those rates, but but they're still way better than they've been over the last 30 years, and far, far better than the 16% that it was back in the 80s. Oh my goodness. I don't know how anybody afforded to buy a home back then. Anyway, thanks for checking in on this Monday Market Update. I'll see you guys next week. Our first update in December. I know, it's already coming. It's December. But as always, I believe you deserve a better quality experience. So give me a call if you're looking to buy or sell, because I've got my team that's going to come alongside and make sure that every step of the process is beautiful and seamless for you. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you in December. Bye.